Yeah, yeah. Ball so hard, you better believe me, it's scary. It's basketball at the bar with Calvin and Barry. So put a tip in the jar, cause these dudes can really fill it up. Whether it's buckets you need or just a beer in a cup. We're here for fresh conversations, got some delicious libations. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. My boys got you covered like you being guarded by payers. From the glove to the claw and everyone else in between. Calvin and Barry got everything that you need. For sure. So sit back, relax, because we're starting the show. It's basketball at the bar. Grab your drinks and let's go. Yeah. Grab a drink and let's go. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Calvin and Barry. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Let's get it.
What up, ballers? Welcome to Basketball at the Bar. Join us live every weekday for the best NBA podcast here on YouTube, where the takes are hot and the drinks are cold. There's no dress code, and you can take us wherever you go. So pull up a stool, drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe. This is Basketball at the Bar. Grab your drinks, and let's go, Calvin. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Basketball at the Bar. We're here. We're having fun. We have a good show for you guys today. On today's show, we have some injury updates. We talk about Gary Payton. We talk about the suspension to Dylan Brooks. We give an update on Joel Embiid, Marcus Smart. And then we break down both games from yesterday. There are no games today, so we'll just jump right into Q&A with you guys. And if you are a Kings fan, make sure you join us right after this show. We will be live on our other channel, Royal Rebounds, breaking down the Sacramento Kings coaching search. We'll be talking about guys like Victor Oladipo and their potential interest in the Sacramento Kings. So we got a lot of action coming up for you guys.
Sí, hola, mis amigos. Feliz Cinco de Mayo.
Yes, and happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. All right, Calvin. So we're here. Let's do a quick little injury update.
So first of all, real quickly on Gary Payton II, no new news per se, but he did have an MRI yesterday. It revealed slight ligament damage. The Warriors are expecting him to be out a minimum of 3 weeks, possibly a month. So as we kind of predicted yesterday, the earliest he could return would be the NBA Finals if the Warriors are to make it that far.
And the Warriors are not happy about it.
No, they're not happy about it. I mean, that's to be expected, though, right? And then Joel Embiid, quick update on him. Woj tweeted out earlier this morning, or this afternoon, I guess, on the East Coast, that he is currently listed as out for Game 3 in Philadelphia. However, the Sixers are still optimistic that he can progress in the right direction enough so that he can play. It's not looking good at the current moment, though. And this is a case where the scheduling really kind of fucked them, right? Yeah. Because they only get 1 day off compared to the Warriors and Mavericks, the Warriors and the Boston series. They're going to get 2 days off because they don't play till Saturday.
Yeah, we heard Doc Rivers yesterday saying that Joel Embiid has some significant hurdles that he needs to overcome to be able to play. Concussions are tricky, and then he's also dealing with, I'm sure a lot of facial swelling, broken bones, stuff like that. So very unfortunate for him and the Philadelphia 76ers because they're down big right now.
They are. He could still play on Friday. It's not an official thing yet, but it's not looking – he's not headed as far in the right direction as they would hope him to be.
Yep. Any good news on Marcus Smart?
Marcus Smart, good news for him. Again, they're going to get that extra day of rest, which will really help the Boston Celtics. Smart says he is very confident that he will play in Game 3 up in Milwaukee.
All right. Good news for the Boston Celtics. After winning Game 2, they look like they're back in the series. And Marcus Smart is definitely going to help them. And it's good for us NBA fans, right? Because we get to look and watch more competitive basketball.
Yeah, you want all these teams to be healthy. You even heard Jimmy Butler say he hopes Joel Embiid gets back on the court because they want to beat who he calls the NBA's MVP. No excuses, right? You want to beat the best.
And after 22-12 in that game. Jimmy Butler's knee seems to be doing quite all right at this point.
Yep.
Let's talk about Dillon Brooks here. I know we talked on yesterday's show about the hard foul on Gary Payton, what that means for him, what that means for the team. It's been announced today that he is suspended for 1 game. I know the Warriors are not happy about this. Apparently a bunch of people in the Warriors organization wanted him suspended for at least 2 games. I know Steve Kerr is on record saying that he should miss as much time as the guy that was injured on the play, which is
ridiculous.
I mean, in theory, it makes sense, but I don't think he was trying to hurt the guy, right? And so it's just kind of, it's a tricky situation because you don't want to injure guys. You don't want them to get hurt. But should this guy be out for a month and potentially only be available if they make the finals? I don't think so.
No. When have you ever in professional sports history heard of somebody being suspended for as long as the opposing player is injured for like that? I mean, that's just a ridiculous comment in my opinion.
Jokic would have missed half the season if that was the case.
I'm not surprised to hear anybody on Golden State say these things. However, it's absurd. I mean, 2 games I think is definitely the farthest I would take this, but I'm okay with a 1 game suspension.
The series is getting quite physical. I think the suspension, I wouldn't say it was deserved, but I think that the league is definitely sending a message to both teams.
Yeah, you were right. You called that yesterday.
Of like, hey, you guys need to get it under control here because we can't have people just going out and injuring other players. This can spiral out of control. So I think they did a good move here in stepping in and saying, okay, these fouls are not allowed, and you're going to pay for it if you end up committing them. Nobody wants to miss an NBA game, especially a playoff game.
Right.
I know I saw like a plus and minus on Dillon Brooks. He's got the best plus minus on anybody on his entire team at plus 16. So they're definitely going to miss him. Even though they were able to win Game 2, not having him is going to hurt the team in Game 3. And that's exactly what the NBA wanted, right? Was they wanted him to more or less pay for what he did. But I think overall it's just sending a message to both teams of like, hey, you guys need to calm it down here. Yeah. This cannot get more out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. That's totally the message the NBA is sending here.
Speaking of which, it's official. Draymond Green is fined $25,000 for flipping the bird or the double bird to fans in Memphis after getting elbowed in the face and heading to the locker room to get stitches. Calvin, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are we all knew this was coming. Draymond knew it was coming. I believe did Kyrie Irving get $50,000 for the same thing?
Yep.
So that's the only thing that I'm like, well, I don't know. Does it match? I'm not really sure. We did see Kyrie do it multiple times during the course of a game, whereas Draymond just does it as he's leaving once here. So maybe that's why he only gets 25 instead. I don't know, but seems a little strange. If I was Kyrie Irving, I'd be upset.
Right? Like, is it per middle finger that you're finding me or what? Because Draymond showed 2 as well.
He did.
If you're Draymond, are you just saying, oh, I got hit in the head, I didn't know what I was doing? Yeah. But clearly in his post-game press conference, he said that it felt good. He's glad that he did it. He continued to troll the fans in the press conference. So for me, I'm kind of like, maybe this dude should have been fined even more than $50,000. But
yeah, who knows?
Then again, Draymond Green's one of those players that if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you don't like the guy at all. I do respect him and what he does and all his achievements and accomplishments up to this point, but the dude is an asshole.
He is. But he owns that, So
he's a good asshole. Right? You got to do what you're good at.
He's good if you're if he's on your team. Yeah. He's good.
Yeah. What's up, Ivan? Good to see you here. What's up, Progressive G? Good to see you guys. No basketball today on the schedule, but that's okay. We're going to break down yesterday's games, and we're going to talk about some other interesting stuff, and we have some plans for this show over the next couple weeks that we'll break down today as well. Any other injury, fine updates or anything like that, Calvin, before we move on to the games?
Well, everybody's favorite NBA player Ben Simmons is back in the news for injury news. He will undergo back surgery here in the next couple of weeks, I believe.
Wow.
The procedure is designed to lessen the amount of pain that he deals with from his herniated disc.
Okay.
So take that as you will. I don't know what the recovery time is. Whatever it is, probably add another 3 to 6 months for Ben Simmons.
Nothing to do with stress, huh?
No, nothing to do with stress. He's not having brain surgery yet, just back surgery.
Oh, man, we hate on Ben Simmons way too much on this
We
channel.
sure do.
Poor guy. Poor guy. Poor millionaire sitting at home in his mansion, having people rub his feet and probably whatever else he's doing right now.
You might want to try have somebody rubbing his back instead.
It comes with the territory, I guess.
No.
That's funny.
He is officially going to have a backiotomy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the doctor said he needed one, I guess. Okay, anything else?
No, that's all I got.
Oh, man, that's so funny. All right, so we're moving on here. Yesterday, 2 awesome games. On May the 4th, be with you. I hope you guys watched your Star Wars last night. I, for one, watched the Family Guy Blue Harvest
that is a good one.
episode. It is absolutely ridiculous. They're trying to get off the Death Star and put the couch in the Millennium Falcon. It is absolutely ridiculous. But before that, I was able to watch both games because they were staggered. So I was able to watch them both live, and it was exciting. The first game, the Philadelphia 76ers are back in Miami for Game 2. Well, at least they were supposed to be. They end up losing this game 119-103. Bam Adebayo feasts again, 23 points for him. Tyrese Maxey, incredible game.
He had a big
I
game.
saw LeBron shout him out, on Twitter for his huge performance. Also want to throw in here, Calvin, I think this is the first time, the second round of the playoffs, we haven't seen KD or LeBron James play in
17 years.
Yeah, it is truly incredible.
Pretty wild.
And LeBron makes up the majority of those numbers.
That's over half my life.
Yeah, that is wild. But on to the game here. Some quick game stats. Heat absolutely destroy the Sixers. And that's incredible considering 3 of their starters were not even in double figures scoring. Yeah. Only 6 points for P.J. Tucker, 7 for Gabe Vincent, and 9 points for Struss. 22 and 12 for Jimmy Butler. 23 and 9 for Bam Adebayo. 18 points off the bench for Tyler Hero, hitting a few threes in that game. And then another Victor Oladipo sighting with 19 big points off the bench. Huge game for him. Looking here at Philadelphia's roster, Tobias Harris tried to do it again, 21 points for him. He has had a great series so far. 34 for Tyrese Maxey on 12 of 22 shooting and 9 of 11 from the free throw line. And then James Harden, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 turnovers in this game. No bench production, none at all. 19 points combined off of the bench for Philadelphia. They lose this game. They pretty much were outscored in every single quarter of this game. A big loss for them, Cal.
Yeah, this is 2 games in a row where Philadelphia was kind of hanging around. They actually hung closer for longer in this game too than in game 1. But again, there's no surprises here in this series or the Phoenix-Dallas series, which we'll get to next. It's all about Miami has too many weapons. Their bench is too deep. Philadelphia doesn't get enough bench production themselves. And Philadelphia cannot shoot the ball. Again, really struggling to shoot from outside. Just 26%, almost 27% from 3 in this game. Harden 1 of 4. Harden 1 of 5. Maxey 1 of 4. Tobias Harris has really been, and Korkmaz have been the only guys that can really consistently knock down outside shots. But it's just not enough against this Miami Heat team.
Yeah, it's tough. Miami is a great team. They have great chemistry, great philosophy. They're physical. And then missing your best player in Joel Embiid compounded on top of that. I think Philadelphia loses this series even if they had Joel Embiid. Now that he's out dealing with the concussion and the facial orbital fracture, it's even tougher. But hey, 2 games. They were both in Miami. Philadelphia has a chance to go home and make it a series. We'll see what happens. Calvin, I want to hear your thoughts on Duncan Robinson. Only 1 minute of action in this game. This dude, a lot of people had just, been so ecstatic about him and how good of a three-point shooter he is. He really has not been much at all in these playoffs so far, especially in this series.
A big game one against Atlanta. I think he was 8 of 9 from 3.
Yeah.
25, 27 points, something like that.
But he just, not that Miami really needs him at this point, at least in this series, but if they're going to win a championship, they definitely need some contributions from him. What are your thoughts on him just not really playing that many minutes? 1 minute in this game, he had like 13 minutes in the last game against Atlanta, another 9-minute performance, 14 minutes, 7 minutes. He hasn't scored double figures for a while.
Yeah. Well, number one, it just goes to show how deep Miami is, right? Like, they were the best three-point shooting team percentage-wise all season long, and that's what Duncan Robinson does. He shoots threes. So it just goes to show how many great shooters are on this team. And then in the playoffs, it's all about matchups. We're seeing Steven Adams sit. He's got COVID right now, but we saw him sit or be benched in the first round because they didn't like the matchup. Duncan Robinson's not the best on-ball defender. I think Eric Spoelstra just is seeing that he doesn't really have a good matchup in this series, and he's getting, great three-point shooting from guys like Max Strus and Tyler Hero, even Victor Oladipo. So right now, he's just not needed for them. Doesn't mean, like you said, that they won't need him moving forward. Depending on who they get matched up with in the Eastern Conference Finals, or if they're lucky enough to make it to the NBA Finals, we might see him play more minutes. But as of right now, he just doesn't fit into the rotation for this team.
Which is rough for a guy that just signed a $90 million contract extension. I think he's a professional. I think he'll be ready, and I think they will use him in certain situations. But it just kind of mind-boggling.
This shouldn't phase Duncan Robinson at all.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We're talking about a guy who started at Division III and ends up, being a high draft pick in the NBA. He's the only Division III player in history to get drafted, I believe. So this should not phase him whatsoever.
So no worries about him, huh?
No, I don't think so. It's such a luxury for Miami, right?
Yeah. To
be able to have this guy basically waiting in the wings who at times is the best three-point shooter in the NBA. So, yeah, they're just that deep.
Yep. And as you mentioned, this did not phase Miami at all. They shot 51% from the field in this game, 48% from three-point range, as opposed to only 26% for Philadelphia. I think I'm calling a sweep here, Calvin.
If Joel Embiid doesn't play in Game 3 and they end up losing that game, which I think they will if he doesn't play, then, yeah, I'm ready to call this a sweep as well.
Wow, how the mighty have fallen, right? Shaq and Kobe. What do they do without Shaq and when Kobe forgets who he is?
Yeah, I don't think James Harden and Kobe should be mentioned in the same sentence anymore.
Yeah, I think Kobe Bryant had a few rings at this point in his career, and James Harden is as great of a player, as great of a scorer as he's been. Dude hasn't taken care of his body, and now you're starting to see
he's
teams
just not the same person.
Yeah, that are like
not the same player. Do
we even build an offense around this guy? Like, what are you now? Are you a scorer? Are you a passer?
Yeah.
I know for a while, it was James Harden and Russell Westbrook fighting each other for triple doubles and MVP awards. They've both fallen off
scoring titles
pretty fast, which is
very fast. Wild. James Harden is. What did he win MVP 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
All right, let me look that up real quick. No, I think it's more like 4 years because Joker won last year. 2 years before that were both Giannis, right?
Yeah, I guess that would be. That's right. Maybe he won the scoring title as little as 2 years ago, something like that.
Let me take a look.
Not that long ago that he was still a very relevant
2018
player.
He won the
scoring title or
won
MVP?
the MVP award.
Okay.
His only MVP.
He may have
award.
won the scoring title the next year. I'm not sure, but
Interesting. Yeah, 30.4 points per game in 2018. The dude has, I mean, and it's funny, right? We're talking about how bad of a season he's having. You look at his stats here, he's still 22, 7.7 and 10.3 assists per game.
Yeah, those aren't bad numbers for sure. However, it's just not what Philadelphia needs right now.
Yep.
They need him to score over 30 a game without Joel Embiid.
Yep.
And I think I heard he hasn't attempted more than 20 shots in a game in a long time. So it's the fact that he can't even get the opportunities himself. We talked about it yesterday. He just looks like he's not able to create his own shot as well as he used to, which for James Harden, that was, one of the most important parts of his game.
Yeah. And part of it is, maybe he lost a step. Also, the rule changes, stuff like that. He's not knocking down the three like he was before. So, it kind of all builds on itself, right? Like he gets to the basket, he gets to the free throw line, then it opens up the three, then he shoots the three, and then it opens up the lane. And just now he's kind of stuck in this, like, I can't even get open myself.
Yeah.
So I'm just stuck trying to dish the ball to other guys.
Philadelphia's best offense right now is in transition, and it's not with the ball in James Harden's hands.
Yeah.
It's with the ball in Tyrese Maxey's hands. That guy is an absolute blur in the open court. And Philadelphia struggles, as you would expect, against a really good defensive team to score in the half court consistently. So I just don't see them having enough energy to sustain that type of play. Maxey might himself, but I don't know if anybody else on the team does.
Yeah, he's been the best player on that squad, and then Tobias Harris has been there as well. I'm looking at Danny Green. The dude has, we've seen his struggles in the past. 1 for 10 in this game, 1 for 9 from three-point range. When you're James Harden, you keep passing the ball to Danny Green, and he's missing wide open threes.
Yeah, ask LeBron how that goes.
It's kind of like, okay, what do we do here, right? What do we do here? James needs to figure it out. He only had 15 shot attempts in this game. He needs to take this game over. And, I talked about a couple episodes ago, James Harden could go for 30, Tyrese Maxey could go for 30, and they could still lose this game. Mm-hmm. They need Tobias Harris to do more. I know he had like 26 in the first game, 21 in this game, but that's still not going to cut it if James Harden's not scoring over 30 points a game.
Yeah, so they need more out of him, especially if the bench is not going to produce the way that it has been.
Yep. Any other thoughts on this game or this series before we move on?
Unfortunately, there's nothing really else to talk about with this series until Joel Embiid gets back. Yeah. I don't think this is competitive in the slightest unless he's playing.
Yeah, and we'll do just how we have the entire playoffs here. When this team gets eliminated, we'll break down the squad. We'll break down the salary cap. We'll talk about contracts and how these players fit together, and we'll make some recommendations for the offseason. We're actually going to do that for all 30 teams in the next couple weeks, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I think, Calvin, we should also do some more NBA 2K stuff. I know you and I love to play 2K. We could do some rebuilds, stuff like that, have fun.
Who doesn't love video games?
Right. It's a lot of fun. I've been playing that Gran Turismo 7.
I know, yeah.
That game's awesome. It's very frustrating, but it's a lot of fun. I'm getting my license, dude. I feel like I'm 16 again. All right, moving on to the second game of yesterday. Dallas is in Phoenix again. We see Luka Doncic have another amazing performance, 35 points with him. Also gets into it with fans in the crowd that are yelling at him. He says that they went beyond what he normally hears. He didn't clarify exactly what the fans said to him, but they're definitely getting into his head after he commented after game one that the fans are much louder in Dallas than they are here in Phoenix. The fans let him have it in this game. Phoenix wins 129-109, 30 points for Devin Booker. Chris Paul does his thing. Calvin, you and I called DeAndre Ayton a feast again in this game. Only 9 points for him, but they didn't really need much from him in this game. Dallas just doesn't have what they need to win this series. Another huge game by Luka Doncic. I said 35 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. This is after over 45 points in game one. I think 47. They lose this game. And, They started out slow. They tried to come back in the second quarter here, and then Phoenix just completely blew it open in the third and fourth quarters. They show why they're the favorite to go to the finals. Calvin, thoughts on the game?
Well, again, there's nothing, no news stories or storylines or really anything worth mentioning here. Phoenix's game plan is Luka's going to be great. Let him get his points. We're going to shut down everybody else. Jalen Brunson, we talked about at the beginning of this series how he is going to really struggle. It's not going to be this as easy for him as it was in the first round against Utah. 3 of 12 last night, 9 points. The Suns' game plan, in my opinion, is perfect. Defensively, they're staying home on the shooters in the corners, which Dallas loves to get going. We saw when Dallas made that one run in the second quarter and took the lead for a little while, it was more than just Luka. He was able to find Davis Bertans a couple times for threes. Maxi Kleber hit a couple shots. No threes for him in this game, but Spencer Dinwiddie finally got a couple shots to go down. That's when Dallas was making their run and led in this game because they were able to get other contributions from guys not named Luka Doncic. But the Suns continued to stick to their game plan, and then they just unleashed an absolute onslaught offensively. The threes were raining down. I believe this is a franchise playoff record for Phoenix in terms of shooting percentage for a game, 65 nearly percent for the game and 52% from three. You're not going to lose many games when you shoot like that.
And such a well-balanced performance for them. You look at their two stars, Chris Paul, 11 of 16, Devin Booker, 11 and 19. Almost all 5 starters are in double figures. Ayton only had 9. And then almost every single person scored off the bench other than Torrey Craig in this game. So very, very well-balanced team. They play it the right way. Not that Dallas doesn't. They just have all the talent, and they utilize everybody perfectly. Shout out to their coach. Another amazing season for the Phoenix Suns. This is why they're my pick to win the NBA Finals this season. And Calvin, I don't know if you watched the post-game press conference, but I saw a little bit of shade from Devin Booker on Chris Paul, kind of in a funny way, where he's like, I just go back to, I was 5 years old and my dad and I were watching Chris Paul play in the playoffs. And he's like, the dude just is so good. He just, takes what's given to him. He knows when to get his teammates involved, and then he knows when he needs to take over the game. Another amazing performance by the old man, Chris Paul. And it's just kind of funny to even think about that. Devin Booker was 5 years old when Chris Paul was already in the playoffs. Now they're on the same team, and Devin Booker could be the guy that helps Chris Paul win his first NBA title.
Very well could. Yeah, so. This team, they're just so, together. They look like they love playing with each other, for one another. Whether it's the F.J. Crowder T-shirts or I remember watching Chris Paul when I was 5 years old. They know that this is their time right now. They've been the best team in the league all year long, and they're certainly playing like it right now.
And Chris Paul turns 37 years old tomorrow, so happy birthday, happy early birthday, Chris Paul. It'll be exciting to see you get a title. I've enjoyed watching you through my life. Obviously, I wasn't 5 years old when I first started watching him, but exciting player. It kind of seems similar to a Charles Barkley type guy or a Tracy McGrady, where it's like, you've been so great, all you're missing is the title, and maybe we'll finally get to see you get it this year, which would be amazing.
We shall see.
We shall see. Any other thoughts on this game, Cal?
Mavs are in trouble. We've been saying it for a few days now. I don't know if they're going to get a game in this series. This might be a sweep as well.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Apparently they didn't watch our show yesterday because Boban didn't get any minutes in this game. Another DNP for him.
Not sure it would have helped, but
28 minutes for Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench, 11 points for him. Jalen Brunson, only 9 points, 3 of 12 shooting. This dude has seemed a little bit different in this second round series than he did in the first round, Calvin. Only 9 points in this game, 13 points in game one. He has shot horrendously in this series compared to the one before it. Any thoughts on that?
No, nothing new. Just continuing to build off of what I've said over the past couple of games. When you looked at how he was successful against Utah, Utah's perimeter defense awful. Phoenix, much better perimeter defense. They have more guys that they can throw on him as well.
Yep.
Big, long, lanky, athletic guys that are going to make it really difficult for him to get space and get shots. But why was he so successful against Utah? He was able to get by that perimeter defense, get into the paint. They stretch the floor out. Rudy Gobert is not always in there to contest shots, so he shoots a really, really high clip from in the paint. In this series, not only is he having shots challenged and changed and adjusted when he gets into the paint, his opportunities are much fewer. He just can't get to those same spots. Mm-hmm. So he's forced to shoot from farther away. He's forced to take more difficult shots, contested shots, and he's struggling as a result.
Yep. A few more questions for you, Kyle, before we move here into Q&A. First off, are the Phoenix Suns the favorite to win it all now? Because they're my favorite, so I want to hear about you.
I think they are definitely the favorite right now. They're clicking on all cylinders. They're fully healthy, and they're blowing away competition at the moment. They went through a little rough patch in that first round series against New Orleans, but they didn't have Devin Booker for a couple of games. He seems to be totally healthy now, and yeah, excuse me, in my opinion, they are the favorites by far.
Yep.
I saw a tweet from my favorite person to talk about sports with, Skip Bayless, earlier today, and he was saying, his tweet says that the Miami Heat are clearly the favorites to win it all right now. I couldn't disagree more with that statement. I'm not saying Miami isn't a good team or that they don't have a chance to win, but Miami is the only team left in the playoffs that hasn't been tested yet.
Yeah.
They ran through an Atlanta team in the first round that was no match for them, and now they're playing Philadelphia without Joel Embiid, which is, again, no contest. They're the only team that really hasn't had a serious test in the playoffs yet. All these other teams have. The Warriors are going through it right now. Boston and Milwaukee are going through it right now. And Phoenix went through it in the first round, and now they're really, really firing on all cylinders. So I think it has to be the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think that also hinges on health, right? Just like it does for a lot of these teams.
Yeah. Miami's healthy, though.
Yeah, you look at their injury report, it's...
Don't pay attention to that.
They're the favorite to have...
They're missing Kyle Lowry, that's it.
They're the favorite to have the most people on their injury report every game.
Yeah.
I still got both of those teams going to the finals here, but, we saw Phoenix get tested in the first round in losing Devin Booker due to injury. Chris Paul has had numerous injuries during the playoffs over his career, which is quite unfortunate. I hope that doesn't happen to him again. But injuries are so threatening, and they can just happen at any time. So I agree with you. I think Phoenix is the favorite to win it all right now, but that hinges very, very easily on whether they can remain healthy. And I do feel like a team like Miami, who I also picked to go to the finals, is maybe a little bit better equipped to deal with injuries than a team like Phoenix. So it'll be interesting to see, how that progresses. Yes, I think Phoenix is the favorite right now, but I'm going to put a little caveat on there that Miami is much, much better off injury-wise than Phoenix is.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly would hate to see injuries have been a huge topic all season long, a huge problem all season long, and it's carried over into the postseason. But I'm when I'm looking at or trying to pick a favorite, both those teams are healthy right now, so I'm just going to exclude injuries as a factor. It's got to be the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. All right, since we're talking about the Miami Heat here, let's talk a little bit about Tyler Hero, everybody's favorite hero. I don't know if it's the performance. I don't know if it's the smirk in the bubble. I don't know if it's the last name. But everyone seems to be high on Tyler Hero, myself included. I know he's the favorite to win Sixth Man of the Year. He did?
Yeah, he was presented the trophy yesterday before the game.
Congratulations, Tyler Hero. I missed that. 20.7 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Is this guy a max contract player, Cal?
The short, easy answer is, in today's NBA, yes, he is. Dude's been in the league 3 years. He's improved every season. Pretty much all of his numbers have gone up. Guy shot basically 40% from three this year on nearly 7 attempts, over 20 points a game, led all scorers off the bench in points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. His scoring has gone up every year. His shot attempts have gone up every year. He played in 66 games this season, which is the most in his career. I think most people around the NBA view this guy as a starter, not a bench player. And I got to disagree with Charles Barkley on TNT last night, saying that this dude, he basically called him a bench player, as in that's what he is right now. He says he's scoring 25 off the bench is not the same as playing a starter's role and having to score 25 a game. I couldn't disagree with him more. He plays starters minutes. He plays against the opposing team's starters for a lot of the game. He finishes games against the starting lineup, and he still scores against all these guys. So, max contracts, it's sometimes difficult to really determine whether a player is worth $200 million. I mean, is Rudy Gobert worth $200 million? I don't know. But I'm certainly paying Tyler Hero if I'm the Miami Heat. I don't want to see this guy leave and go to another team and end up becoming, a perennial all-star or all-NBA performer.
Yeah, I mean, this dude is a starter on pretty much every single other team in the league. I think he'll probably end up starting on this Miami Heat team next season. He's only 22 years old. Great player, has had a ton of great moments already. He's been tested. He's been to the finals. He's had a lot of great playoff performances. This dude is a max player for me, and if Miami doesn't pay him, somebody else will. So I think this situation is kind of an inevitable for him. He is a max contract player. Hopefully it's on Miami or Sacramento, but we'll see what happens with him. Dude is definitely going to get paid here.
Yeah, he is eligible at the end of this season for a 5-year, $186 million extension.
Wow, that is
and if they don't
absolutely incredible.
End up giving him that extension, or the negotiations break down, he'll become a restricted free agent at the end of next season.
Yeah, I think I might have chosen the wrong profession here, Calvin, because that's crazy. All right, moving on here, talking about contract extensions. We have 2 other big-name players here that are quite interesting moving into the offseason. The first one we talked about both of them on today's show. One of them's been fined $50,000 for flipping off the crowd. The other one, has been fined $50,000 for showing up fat to training camp, and that is James Harden and Kyrie Irving. They both played on the same team at a point in this season.
They did.
Both of them are surrounded by crazy rumors and drama and all this, and both of them will be eligible for a contract extension. So, Calvin, I need to hear from you because I don't know if there's a correct answer in this, and it is
either.
A very, very tough situation for both GMs in Sean Marks and Daryl Morey. Who would you rather give a contract extension to this offseason, Kyrie Irving or James Harden?
You're right. I'm not sure there is a correct answer to this question. This is a tough one. First of all, both these guys have player options for next season. Kyrie Irving over $36 million. James Harden over $47 million player option for next season. So it's still unsure whether or not there will even be a contract extension offer for either of them. That being said, I would, if I'm a GM, I would rather give Kyrie Irving a contract extension that's going to be worth the type of money both of these guys are expected to be offered or get, because I know Kyrie can still play. But the problem is I don't know if Kyrie will want to play on any given day. At least James Harden, I know, is going to want to play basketball.
Yeah.
But
tough.
I don't trust James Harden as much as a player anymore. Certainly not a guy who's going to be making over $40 million a year or close to it. So this is a really, really difficult one. I've said before I don't want Kyrie Irving on my team because I think there's too many distractions that come with him, and I'm not sure how many games I'm going to get out of him every year. One, because he's injury prone, and two, because he might just show up to practice one day and decide he doesn't want to play.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
James Harden, on the other hand, the guy's not worth a max contract anymore, in my opinion. So if I can offer him a slightly lesser deal that I would be confident he would accept, then yeah, I might consider that. But this is a really, really tough one. Daryl Morey has for sure backed himself into a corner big time, wanting this guy on his team again, going after him, trading away half the team, their best shooter, backup center that they could really use right now because Joel Embiid is hurt. Both these teams and GMs are in very difficult situations because of these players that have a lot of power.
Imagine the headaches the GM, Sean Marks, of the Brooklyn Nets had, because he had both of these guys on his team at the same time, and he's kind of like,
don't envy Sean Marks' position.
What do I do here? This is a very tough question. Both of these guys have wanted out and demanded out on teams. Both of them have had off-the-court issues. I'd like to say Kyrie Irving takes a little bit better care of his body than James Harden, but Kyrie's also...
Easy to do when you choose not to play for half the season.
That's true.
You know?
Kyrie's also dealt with a lot more injuries than James Harden has in his career. James Harden's never won a title. Kyrie has. But yeah, it's a very, very tough situation. I don't know if there's a right answer here. It kind of reminds me of that Ace Ventura one where he's like got a spear in one leg and a spear in the other, and he's like, it's like, oh my God, both of these guys had such bright futures just a few years ago, both incredible players. I don't know if I can even choose a guy here. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, which guy am I better off re-signing and then having the ability to trade for somebody else? At this point, I don't even know what the correct answer for that is.
Because I was just going to say, I'm not sure who that would be.
Kyrie Irving could just say, no, I'm just going to retire if you trade me, and then his trade value is nothing. And Daryl Morey already has James Harden. He's the only guy that you could really get to trade for James Harden at this point. So that's a very, very tough situation. And it sucks, man, because, it's like I've rooted for both of these guys. I've liked both of these guys. I really hope that one or both of them can figure out a way to turn it around next season, because they need to rebuild themselves physically. They need to rebuild their reputation. I just don't know if either of them are going to do it at this point. They've both made hundreds of millions of dollars, and they both seem to be content where they're at right now. So it's a very, very, very tough situation.
It is. If I had to bet on who would have a better year next year, Kyrie or James Harden, I would bet on Kyrie Irving. Yeah. So for that reason, even though it's a big question mark, as of right now, the vaccination status isn't an issue currently. It might change, but currently it's not an issue. So I have more confidence in Kyrie Irving playing basketball than I do in James Harden right now.
And Kyrie's 2 years younger than James, so that helps as well.
Yeah.
What's up, Flame Flurry 11? We're just here debating on who we'd rather re-sign, James Harden or Kyrie Irving. Let us know your thoughts in the chat, because Calvin and I are really having a tough time even agreeing with ourselves.
Neither can be an answer
about what we want to do. That is just completely wild situation. It really is. All right, I totally forgot what I was going to say. But before we move on to Q&A, I just want to announce to you guys that we are going to be taking the next couple weeks. We're still going to be doing the show here Monday through Friday. But as games start to slow down, as teams start to get eliminated, we're not going to have 2 games every day. We're not even going to have 1 game every day. So We're going to use this time to put out more awesome content about off-season rebuilds, guys we like in the draft. Like I said, we're doing a May 17th draft lottery party here. So we're going to put out a bunch of content for you guys through the rest of the playoffs. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified when we put out new videos. We're also going to be doing some fun interactive NBA 2K stuff and 2K rebuilds. So just keep with us here. We love basketball. We know you do too. And we're going to be putting out a lot of awesome stuff. Yes, we will be going live for the lottery party. I think we will be doing that on Royal Rebounds. I don't know exactly what time the draft lottery starts. Do you know, Calvin?
No, but I can probably find out.
We're going to do our normal show. It's not this next Tuesday, but it's the Tuesday afterwards. So we're going to do our normal show here, Basketball at the Bar. If we do need to start a little bit earlier, we will let you guys know. And then, yes, we will be doing the NBA Draft Lottery Party on the second channel, Royal Rebounds, because the Kings are in it, and they actually have a really good chance here. And we're also going to be doing another podcast today on Royal Rebounds in about 40 minutes or so after we wrap this up. So make sure you guys tune in for that as well.
Looks like they haven't announced the time for it yet. We know it's on May 17th. That's a Tuesday. It's in Chicago, so it'll probably be, like
1 or
2
2
p.m.
like that.
Pacific time.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, you got some questions? Let's do it. It's Q&A, so fire them out at us. We're ready to go, and we're having fun. Also, keep in mind for your questions, we are going live right after this at Royal Rebounds, where we're going to answer all your Kings questions, and we're going to talk about Kings coaching rumors and all that. So hold off on your Kings questions if you can, but if you can't, you can let them out here. And if you have any other NBA questions, let us know. Okay, Calvin. Any other just overall thoughts on how the playoffs are going so far? I know we both talked about Phoenix is our favorite to make the finals. I think we both agree that Miami is probably the favorite at this point to make the Eastern Conference finals with Milwaukee. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think Phoenix. Miami's probably had the easiest road of any team so far, and that is, injury dependent, obviously, on Joel Embiid.
And part of being the number 1 seed.
Yes. But once in the NBA playoffs, once you get out of the first round, you can. It doesn't matter where your seed is anymore. I think you still have the potential to get matched up against a really good team, and Phoenix is lucky that they ended up with Dallas in the second round just because I think that's a total mismatch. So, yeah, I mean, I would say it's playing out as we expected so far. I mean, I picked Utah to be in the second round instead of Dallas, but that was only because Luka was hurt.
Yep.
And Utah completely folded there. So, yeah, I think it's playing out exactly as we have expected, or as most people have expected so far, and I'm looking forward to some potentially amazing conference finals matchups here if it is in fact going to be Phoenix Golden State. Even though I love Memphis as a team, I'd like to see them play Phoenix as well, but I'd rather see the Warriors go against the Phoenix Suns.
What are your thoughts here on no games today? It's kind of weird the way the schedule's working out, right? Because Philadelphia and Miami played yesterday. Same with Dallas and Phoenix. They're both playing again tomorrow. Then they play again on Sunday. And we could potentially see Dallas and Philadelphia both being eliminated on Sunday when Boston and Memphis have only really played 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Like, I think the only reason that we would even talk about this is because of the fact that Joel Embiid might not be able to play in Game 3, and it's interesting that they don't get an extra day of rest compared to the other 2 series, which would give him more of an opportunity to get healthy and perhaps play. But the scheduling comes out long before any of well, not long before any injuries happened, but before a lot of these injuries have happened. So it's just unfortunately the way it goes for these teams.
It's almost like the NBA knew that both of these series were going to be sweeps, and they just want to get it out of the way because, you know, you're talking about prime time Saturday matchups, Boston and Milwaukee. It's tied 1-1. Memphis at Golden State 1-1. Like, these are the series to watch here for me. I do love watching Phoenix and Dallas and Miami and Philadelphia, but like we said earlier, these are probably going to be sweeps, and the other series are much more interesting to me. On that subject, Flurry's got a good question for you here. Warriors versus Suns, who you got?
I got the Suns. I picked them to come out of the West before the playoffs started. I think it's going to be a great series, but I worry, just like we're seeing Dallas really struggle with the size inside from Phoenix, I worry how Golden State's going to match up for the course of a 7-game series going against JaVale McGee and DeAndre Ayton, because they don't play a big man. Kevon Looney will probably get a lot more minutes in that series.
Yep.
And, you know, give him a lot of credit. He's played in a lot of big games for this team over the years, and he's certainly no stranger to playing against bigger guys. But the Warriors' perimeter players, Poole, Thompson, Curry, they're going to have to be, all three of them, incredibly special every game, I think, in order to win that series.
Yeah, I agree. And just to give you guys a quick little, sneak peek into what we're going to be talking about on Royal Rebounds next, the Phoenix Suns payroll is looking pretty stacked full here with guys. They need to pay some guys this offseason. I think the Kings should make a run at DeAndre Ayton. I really do. I love what I've seen from him. The dude's young, former number 1 overall pick. I'm not sure if Phoenix is going to be able to afford him. We've heard their owner is, not wanted to pay guys in the past. You just paid Chris Paul. Devin Booker's on a max deal. You're going to have to work out contracts with some of your other young players here. And Mikal Bridges just re-signed as well. So if I'm Sacramento, I'm trying to make a run at DeAndre Ayton here. All right. Do you think Shaedon Sharpe will be a star in the NBA?
Hard to say. I mean, he's really got a lot of upside, and he's flown up the draft board here over the course of the year by a considerable amount. The only thing I'll say is I don't necessarily think there's any one particular player in this draft class that is an instant star, like a franchise-changing player right away. So in that regards, it doesn't mean there won't be a eventual star or two in this class, but I think that team fit, when you're not one of those generational franchise type changing players, the organization that drafts you makes a big difference, determining your progression, your development in the league. So I would say he's got a good chance, and it's also going to depend on where he ends up going.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're always going to see those guys like a Donovan Mitchell come out of a draft. No one really expected him to be what he is, and he becomes a star in the league. But I agree with Calvin. It's really hard to tell at this point, and there's not really a clear-cut guy that's like, this is the next LeBron James. This is the next Kevin Durant. This guy is going to be an absolute stud in the NBA. But those guys do happen. Every draft class has diamonds in the rough, and it also has Marvin Bagley's in it too. So, yes, that was a shot at Marvin Bagley. All right, last questions here before we wrap up, and then we got to get ready for Royal Rebounds. We'll be live in about 30 minutes. Do you think Jokic will go on a diet this offseason?
No.
No?
Probably not. I mean, that guy doesn't need to dramatically change his body in any way, shape, or form to continue being a great player. Like, there's no...
People said that about James Harden.
Well, but he's not anywhere near the same guy as James Harden. He's 7 feet tall. He can use his body inside. He's got great footwork, and he doesn't need to jump over you or create space to get a shot off. So, no, I don't expect him to do anything different in his offseason in terms of changing his body.
Is he married already?
I have no idea.
Because my guess would be if he's married, probably not going to see any difference. But if he meets a new vegan girlfriend or somebody this off season, maybe he would consider the diet. But I'm probably going to agree with Calvin here. The Joker is probably going to be in the MVP conversation again next year without any major changes.
Yeah.
He needs his team to change. He needs his team to get healthy. And
yes,
he needs Michael Porter Jr. to be ready and maybe get another back surgery with Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. The bar is closed. Make sure you close out your tabs. We appreciate you all for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful Cinco de Mayo. Hopefully you eat some tacos. We'll see you guys here in about 30 minutes on Royal Rebounds to answer all your Burning Kings questions. And then we will be back again tomorrow on this channel before we wrap up our week. At same time as always, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Anything else, Calvin, before we head out?
No. Have a cerveza.
All right.
And a taco for me.
Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, don't forget to tip your bartender.